Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. There may be a little feature on your sewing machine that you don't know exists, and I find it very helpful when I'm doing certain things. So on the front of my baby lock, up on close to the top edge of the machine, there's a little circle. And what that does is the needle goes up and down in place, locking the stitch so that you don't have a back stitch. On my Viking, there's a word that says fix. It does the same thing. So it's going to be different on a lot of your sewing machines. So look at your machine and see if there's a word or a symbol that doesn't quite make sense to you, and look it up in your user's manual. So now I'm going to show you how I use that feature. This first one up here is that stitch where it stays in place. So when you're watching it happen, your fabric does not feed through. It sits still under your presser foot. The feed docks are not moving, but the needle is going up and down in place. Down here is a stitch line with back stitching at each end, so it looks a little darker. Now, when you're doing quilting stitches is when this stitch comes in really handy. So let's say, and quilting stitches, if you don't know what that are, you can see these little squiggly lines. This is one style of quilting stitches. So let's say you're working on a big project, you're about halfway down on one of these rows of stitches, and suddenly you run out of thread. So if you have that little feature, you select it, let it tie it off, and then of course cut the thread. And then when you refill your machine with more thread, then you start right next to it, and it does that stitch up and down. If you're only doing back stitches, it shows a lot more where you started and stopped. And another little handy thing, which I think I've shown you before, are these curved scissors. You can get in real close to cut those threads off, so really nothing shows. I want to go over a bib apron. I'm not going to show you how to make the entire bib apron, but if you'll notice the bib apron that I have on, I have different fabric up here than I do on the bottom half. And I like doing it that way because then I could make whatever I want to embroider up here stand out, or it just gives more personality to the apron. Now you can use any standard bib apron pattern that you have to do this. So this is a miniature drawing of a bib apron. This is basically the shape of your pattern. So what I do is I'll put the pattern up next to my body and draw a line where I want that fabric up on top to stop at. And then I draw that line right there on the pattern. Then I'll cut out some fabric for the top that's larger than what I really need. And then I bring front sides together, stitch a 1/4 inch seam, press the seam, press it on top. Then take your fabric and fold it in half. Take your pattern and take the line that you drew and put it right on your seam. And then go ahead and either place weights on your pattern or pin your pattern down and then cut it out. And this is right on the fold line. Now, if you want complete instructions on how to make a bib apron, I have many apron tutorials. So I'm going to have a playlist listed below your YouTube screen in the description section. So you scroll down, click on the words show more, or it might just say more. Click on that. That description section will expand open and you will see that playlist. Then just click on that playlist and it'll take you through the different aprons that I have. Have you ever wondered how some of your tote bags, they add this little decorative piece onto the bottom of a boxed bottom tote bag? Well, I'm going to show you just how easy it is. So you need to get 2 pieces of fabric, and you're going to be drawing a circle. Now, what size circle depends on how large your tote bag is going to be. This is only about a 3-inch circle right here. So if you're making just a mini little pouch, you don't need to make a big circle. If you're doing a giant tote bag, you might need an 8-inch diameter circle. Now, this is a template. I bought a set of templates from Joann Fabrics and Crafts, and what's nice about the templates is there's about 5 or 6 different sizes in a package, and you have little lines crisscrossing. That is showing you center of the circle. All right, so my front sides of my fabric is together. Place your template down, and then you're going to trace around the circle. Now, here's one of those center lines. I'm going to put a little mark down here on the fabric and a mark up here. Then place some pins to hold it together and stitch all the way around on that drawn line. Now you're going to trim the excess fabric off, and you want to leave about 1/4 of an inch out past your drawn lines. Now I've placed my 2 marks on my mat and lined it up there, and now I'm going to cut it in half into 2 pieces. Now turn these both front side out. So open it up and push that inside area out. So you have 2 pieces that look like this. So now I'm going to show you how to apply it to the fabric for your tote bag. So on most tote bags patterns, you're going to have 2 pieces of fabric that are for the whole bag, and then you have a seam down at the bottom. So now I'm going to open this seam up, all right? So this is what it looks like when it's on. So how you do that is you take your circle and you fold it in half, and wherever the fold is goes right on the bottom seam. Okay, you line it up. Then pin it down and then stitch right around here. And I also recommend you stitch up along that edge. You want to keep it completely in place. Then you fold your fabric back where you can see that bottom seam. In most tote bag patterns, they're a box-shaped bottom. And many of you probably already know how to do your box shape. You always start out with cutting a square out. Depends on the size of the bag. So you cut it out, and of course, now your circle has now this little opening in it. Then you fold it back. Now I'm going really fast. And then you do your 1/4 inch seam up along here, or whatever your pattern calls for. To finish off the box bottom, you then are going to pull these 2 sides apart, bringing the seam and this seam together. So then you pin it together and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam across here, or whatever your pattern calls for. So then, of course, you turn it front side out, or whatever your next step is that your pattern calls for. And basically, this is what the bottom of each corner of a boxed bottom would look like. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week and that you learned something new. Try some of these little techniques. It just adds a little bit of sparkle to your project. Now, don't forget to go down below your YouTube screen and look at all the links that I have. Scroll down below that description section, click on Show More or More, and it will expand open. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and make sure you go and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.